Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Marty. Welcome to my makeup room. I wanted to talk a little bit today about some brands that I just have never gotten into for one reason or another, and maybe still watching for them in 2026. But first, I wanted to kind of explain my cilantro theory real quick. So, there are lots of people that love cilantro, right? That they put it in the salsa. They can't imagine having a taco without cilantro. And then there's other people that when they taste cilantro, it tastes like soap, right? I feel the same way about makeup. So I know everyone says all makeup is, based upon your personal preference and so forth. But I also think it has to do with the cilantro theory. So just keep that in mind. And if there's something on here that I mentioned that's your absolute favorite, please sound off in the comments, because there's another theory that I have, which is all feedback is a gift. So if you know something I'm totally missing the boat on, feel free to share and we can discuss it. We don't always all have to agree, but the whole point is just to share some information. So with that said, the first thing I'll share is in 2025, there were a couple of brands that I had been watching and kind of on the sidelines with for quite some time. And one of them was Beauty Bay. I love this palette. This is the Dark Lights palette. So discovered Beauty Bay. I have a couple of their palettes. And I did just order whatever the newest one was. I don't actually even know the name, but it's a new one in a plastic packaging. So that is on its way. Another brand that I had been watching for quite some time and just never really, hit that checkout button or whatever was Glaminatrix. And so this was the first palette that I got from Glaminatrix, and I just love this. So I always get compliments whenever I wear it. It's beautiful. I have a couple of other Glaminatrix palettes. I'm totally pleased with them. Blend Bunny. I did place a couple of orders with Blend Bunny. This is their most recent. This is the Haunt Me palette. And I bought a couple of others, some of their older releases during like Black Friday. So just because it's a brand I'm talking about now, they could still be on the wish list or on the radar. But a couple of things that I wanted to talk through. So brands that I find that have gotten just way too much hype, or it seems that they have too many releases or too many collabs, and the one that I'm thinking about is Odin's Eye. So I've kind of watched them from the sidelines. I've never made a purchase from them. And I found some of their color stories really pretty, but some of them are really like kind of chaotic. And in the most recent, probably year and a half or so, the feedback is that they are, the quality is going downhill. So I'm kind of glad I stuck that one out or sat that one out. And when I look at the number of releases, like when people are looking at their palette collections and so forth, they just have piles and piles of Odin's Eye. And it's one in which when there's so many, it also kind of turns me away from the brand, because I'm like, oh, which one's good, which one's new. I would say that Nomad is in that camp for me as well. I think that some of their color stories are beautiful. I've been interested in like their Halloween or spooky season releases, but still yet I just never have, hit that checkout button or decided on a palette. I liked the Chicago Speakeasy one, but just never enough to actually get through. One that's interesting in light of current news is Pat McGrath, and kind of for a different reason. I never got on the Pat McGrath, the motherships. I just felt like they were way too expensive, first off. but I couldn't believe that the quality was such that it merited that high price point. And then when there were so many releases of kind of similar stories, color stories, that was off-putting as well. There was a holiday release that I do definitely regret never picking up, and it was like a astral quad. It was just 4 of the really special shades, but they didn't have. There was one that I was really interested in, and obviously it's not available. But that one almost got me. But the motherships, I think, they just got samey, and people were reporting that the quality was down, and now we kind of know why, that the creative direction was being driven by the investors. In terms of too many releases, so more indie brands, obviously, ColourPop used to be really notorious for this. It felt like they were coming out with new palettes, new collections like twice a week, and that's slowed down quite a bit. But I think just that fatigue of constant newness, constant palettes that really just had a mix of the exact same colors, it seemed. I have some ColourPop palettes, but it really turned into one in which you're just not even paying attention anymore. I know that they just released another Twilight themed palette. I have no interest in like the Twilight series, and I'm kind of funny about packaging too. Like, I don't want to see people looking longingly at the camera on my eyeshadow palettes like the Twilight series does. Too many similar releases, I would say Viseart as well. I have a couple of Viseart palettes in the old packaging. I have one of the Grand Pros. I like their matte formula. I am not a fan of their shimmers, but I would also say that when you're looking at their website, it's kind of a 1,000 pans of gray or beige eyeshadow. So given that you can't see them in person, probably see the nuances and so forth, and there's so many different variations of almost the same palette, just really kind of makes me step back, and I don't like their shimmers, so those are kind of an easy pass. One that's on this list is that I keep checking for is Bella Beauté Bar. So there's a number of creators that just rave about the formula. It's their favorite palette, huge dips in, usage and so forth in their Bella Beauté Bar collection. But again, it's just so many releases. Last year in 2025, I feel like there were a lot of color stories that kind of had that mermaid underwater theme of like turquoise and pink and purple, very kind of similar to each other or complementary to each other. So it kind of made me think, what is the best one? And also they're expensive. So I have some expensive eyeshadows. I have some expensive makeup in my collection. But to release that many palettes in such quick succession at that expense, $75, $72, it just really feels like a lot, and it just could never get to like the checkout line. A couple of things, celebrity brands. Now, I don't follow celebrities. I don't keep up with anybody. But also there's something about celebrity brands that I think that they're going to be very temporary, and that they're just kind of a cash grab, and it's not really about the makeup. A couple that I don't necessarily feel that way about would be Makeup by Mario and Fenty. I've never tried either of them, and I think the Makeup by Mario palettes, they look beautiful, but I think that having them just be limited edition, for one, if it turns out to be your ultimate favorite and your ultimate favorite color story, you can't buy it again, you can't replace it. And the other thing I think about when I hear the reviews about the Ethereal Eyes palettes is that the mattes are great, they blend wonderfully, and the shimmers are kind of like toppers. So I'd be interested in your feedback on that, because obviously I have, tons of matte eyeshadows and also Urban Decay Moondust shadows for like a topper or just that twinkly effect. Wondering if, based on your experience, your feedback, if that's accurate, if my way off base, am I missing the boat? And Fenty is one in which I am interested in it, but I just still have never found like that product that makes me want to buy it. So, couple things that are definitely on my radar. Cosmic Beauty. We've been hearing just so much about Cosmic Beauty. They did just release a smaller, like 12 pan, I think it's called Angelic palette. The tough one with Cosmic Beauty, and I know everyone says they're so affordable. In theory, that is true, but when you start to tack on the shipping and so forth, I live in the U.S., obviously, by my voice, I would think, it is quite expensive. And so I've put together like a cart of items in the past, and I still yet just can't ever pull the trigger. But I really am interested in the Smolder palette. A couple of others. I was interested in the Death Tarot, but I do think it's got kind of a similar theme as the Haunt Me that I just received, and I haven't quite used as much yet. So just waiting to put together an order of things that I'm really interested in that also merit the shipping that it would take to get it to me. And the last one I'll talk about is Gourmand Girls. So this is one in which has been kind of on the radar, but all of last year when they launched the Nevermore, is that it? I think that's it, palette, I was interested in it. And I even took like some of my singles and did like a dupe the vibe type of thing. And it ranked pretty highly in people's annual favorites. So I'll be curious when that restocks. I was interested also in their latest, I think it's called Bleeding Hearts Valentine's collection. So there could be possibilities on the horizon for Gourmand Girls. I'm interested in them. I like their color stories always kind of have like a little twist to it, and it's not 25 pan or a 30 pan palette. So I like that it's kind of curated. So that said, I would love to hear from you at this point in the comments. Am I missing out on something, that there is just something about this list that is your absolute favorite, your favorite brand, your favorite formula, your favorite product? If it's still for sale, what would you buy again? What would you recommend without a doubt? I'm very interested in that. What is your cilantro brand, or the brand that just makes you kind of wrinkle your nose a little and, just never quite catches your eye? I'd be very curious. And again, friends can agree to disagree. This is, again, just all feedback is a gift. If there's something that should be on my radar that isn't, please share that, and let's just have a discussion. So appreciate your time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.